everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cinnamon Stitches. I am your yarn host, Jennifer, and because I'm your yarn host, I'm gonna have to show you some more yarn, right? That's how it works here. Now, I got my website all up and ready with my order. However, I will say, I believe Mary Maxim actually put the prices on this time, which, super happy about that. Let me fold it so there's no personal information showing. We got our prices right there. Super happy about that. That has been a hit or miss thing lately with some of these companies, and they always throw a bunch of junk mail in there. So I'm going to show you, I ordered 2 new yarns and I'm going to compare them to each other. Just because the colorways went together, but these are not the same type of yarn, I don't believe. Yeah, that's real cute, Mary Maxim. 2 points down for poor packaging. I mean, they bagged it up, but they kind of just rammed them in there. Nobody wants their yarn to come to them all rammed up like that. Do better, Mary Maxim. Look at that. I understand they're trying to save on shipping, but like I clearly paid for shipping. So look at. And that's Mary Maxim's fault. That is not the fault of the post office. Alright. The 2 yarns I ordered in 2 similar colors was, and I have wanted to try this yarn for a very long time. Let me fluff up my ball because it's been destroyed by the way it was packaged. We'll fluff it up and make it look party. We're going to make it look party, Paul. All right. Pardon my horrible accent. Mary Maxim Prism. I've wanted to try this for a very long time, but it is not cheap. It is $6.29 for this little tiny ball is what I paid. And let's look at it. This is the color rainbow. Give it a second for the light to die down. Look, it is so pretty. It's the color rainbow. It's a beautiful pastel rainbow. This yarn is 100% acrylic. It is 290 yards. It is made in China. And it is a roving style to where it is not spun, but just merely drafted or pulled. It is very, very fuzzy. And I don't know if that's coming across like towards the top of the screen, how fuzzy it is. I have a feeling that this is going to be hard to frog just because it's very fuzzy. It's not super soft, but it is not at all like rough or scratchy. It feels really good on my skin, but it's not super slick. There's not a sheen to the outside of it like some yarns, so it's not as soft as some other yarns. But it is very, very beautiful. So I ordered this color, and this color is rainbow, and I ordered it. And see, this one looks perfect. This one is wound tighter. This one's wound very loose. Look at the difference in the size of the ball from the way it was wound. Well, that makes sense. This one is made in China. This one is made in Turkey. So, I wonder how that's going to affect the yarn. Because they were clearly made at 2 different factories. This one is called Rain Shower. The color is Rain Shower. And this one does not look as thick or as fuzzy as the one made in China. So, I don't know if they switched mills and they're now using Turkey. I prefer Turkey yarn against all other yarns, honestly. I just really like yarn that's made in Turkey. I think it is a very good, like, they know what they're doing in Turkey. They know their yarn. They're both lightweight number 3. It's hard to tell if they feel the same because this one's wound a lot looser. This one was wound tighter. Is the yardage the same? 290 yards, yeah. But they They look like different yarns to me, which obviously you're not going to get something made in China this exact same as something made in Turkey. This has more of a sheen to it. Can you see that? This color is far more beautiful to me, but this has a sheen and is softer. So I don't know if you can contact Mary Maxim and be like, hey, can I get some of the Prism that is made in Turkey and not made in China? I don't know how that works. But now, I ordered these two, and like I said, these were $6.29 a ball, which is expensive for yarn. And then slight malfunction there. So if there's a weird break here, it's because my camera, I ran out of memory. So what I tried to do is I saw this new yarn, and this is Mary Maxim Artist Palette. I've never seen this yarn, never heard of this yarn before. This kind of reminds me of some yarn from Ice Yarn, and you guys looking at that will know exactly what I'm talking about. But what I tried to do is order similar colors. Why? I have no idea, but that's just what I wanted to do. And I'm going to work up samples of these because I want to see what they work up like in crochet. So this is the color. Again, this is, let me talk to you about this yarn first. So what I did was I tried to get similar colors between the Artist Palette on the bottom and the Prism on the top. So let's talk about the Artist Palette. It is made in Turkey, approximately 396 yards, whereas this one is 290. These were $4.49, so significantly a better deal. Made in Turkey, 100% premium acrylic. Lightweight number 3, care instructions, machine washable and dryable, using gentle, delicate cycle for 2 minutes. Mary Maxim is notorious for this 2-minute thing, okay? Tumble dry using low heat for a maximum of 5 minutes. So you cannot wash and dry this for longer than 7 minutes. It'll be disastrous. Remove and lay flat to dry. Do not dry clean. So you put it in the dryer just to knock off some of the extra moisture. Then you pull it out and lay it flat. That's the best thing that you could do for Mary Maxim yarn, according to Mary Maxim. This is the color Prismatic. And this one is the color Caribbean Hues, or Caribbean Hues, depending on however you want to say that. It is very pretty. It's actually not, well, maybe. It's not showing up as blue as it is. There we go. I guess, well, maybe. I think it's trying to knock down some of the blues. Let's see if we put them together to get it more accurate. There we go. Yeah. It was getting confused by the colors, and it was trying to get rid of some of the blue. Because see how it changes to my face is a little bit more orange, and then it equals out a little bit to be more natural. That's what it tries to do with the blue. So, these yarns are soft too. I'm trying to remember. This reminds me of something. The way it feels. And I cannot think of what yarn it reminds me of. It has no fuzz at all, barely at all to it. It's very smooth. It's not, does not have a sheen or shine to it, so it's matte. And it just feels like a soft, it feels like a soft yarn. But it does remind me of something. I think it reminds me of Gina yarn that I have had, which is a yarn from, I believe, Russia that I've gotten from Mary Maxim in the past. I don't dislike it. It's not, it's soft. I don't think it's going to irritate my skin. But let's go to the table and work up some swatches and see how we really feel about this. Because really, like, it'll look nice in the ball. It'll be beautiful. It'll be colorful. It might even be soft and squishy, but until it's running between our fingers, we don't really know how much we love it or how much we hate it. Because that has happened to me more times than I can count. So let's go to the table and we'll check out the artist and we'll check out the Prism, and I'll do a little crochet swatch for us. Maybe a knit swatch. I'm not positive. We will see how time and children behave. We'll see. How the camera behaves. We'll see. We'll see. And yeah, let's go to the table. All right, so we are here today at the table working up these two swatchies. I have my Furls hooks, beautiful navy blue hook. I totally bought this one when it first came out, and it was sitting in its leather case, and I forgot I had it, and I was like, oh, it's like I got a new hook. It made me so happy. They also have just a quick little plug. They also have a new iris color one, which is like this color purple, and it's glittery just like this one, and it's so beautiful. And I really think I'm going to try to buy myself one after Christmas because it is just beautiful. It's so pretty. Okay, let's get down to the yarn. I think we're going to start with the Prism yarn just because it's right here. And I'm going to probably grab from the outside just cause. Like I said, this is a very roving style. It's just like, you know, and which means it will probably have some spots that are thicker, some spots that are thinner. This is a common occurrence of roving style where it does peel apart or shed a little bit. It's not anything, and it does unravel at the ends. It's not anything that prevents me from wanting to work with it. What is the recommendation for the hook? 4mm. All right, I got a 4.25. I think we're good. We're just going to work up a swatch. We're testing to see how it feels on our skin because that is a big deal to me with my skin issues. We are also testing for splittiness, stickiness on the hook or my skin, workability, how it feels, how it looks. Did I say splittiness? Splittiness is a big deal to a lot of people. A quick little tip. I did tell you this tip in yesterday's video with the with the Premier yarns. If you experience splitting with your yarn and it's really bad and you just can't work with it, try switching hooks. Try switching to a different brand hook. Try switching to a different size hook. And a lot of times that will make a big difference. For example, this hook is not splitting this yarn at all. But with the Furls hook, this part right here, this point, is always very sharp. And that will split a yarn easier than anything else. So if that is an issue with me and I'm splitting it there, I will just switch to a different hook. Whatever your preferred hooks are, just try and work it out. This is working up very nice. It has beautiful stitch definition. I don't feel splitting. It's not the softest running across my skin and my fingers. However, this is not going to bother me in a long-term project, I don't think. There is background noise. There are children home. It is Thanksgiving break. Thanksgiving is in a couple of short days. Got lots of preparing to do. And not nearly enough time to knit and crochet like I want. But that's all right. The week will be over before we know it, and I'll be back to business. Oh, that is pretty. That stitch definition is amazing. Let's come in closer so you can see. Look at that. That is beautiful. This reminds me of yarn from Furls. The way that it works up with that stitch definition, which is funny because this does not have a twist in it. And usually the twist is what gives it the beautiful stitch definition. Look at that. That is gorgeous. All right. This might be worth the price of, well, it's still kind of expensive. I'm not even going to say that. It's kind of expensive. Like, this is not the yarn that I'm going to go, oh, I need to make a really big project out of that. Let me buy a whole bunch of balls at $6 something a piece. Not going to do that. I find the price a little bit high, but it is beautiful. It is beautiful. I really like the stitch definition. I love this color. That baby blue. It's not even a baby blue. It's like a sky blue. Absolutely stunning. Let's go for a star stitch. Let's do this. 3, 4, 8, 5. Pull through all of those. A little bit of splitting there. But the star stitch is kind of like a bauble in the fact that if you're going to have problems, it's going to be doing that stitch. That's why I throw it in here because going through all these loops, if you don't have them loose enough, it's going to tangle. I don't care what yarn it is. I think another problem we're going to have with this yarn, and I'm just hypothesizing this, is I think it's going to have a hard time frogging. I could be wrong, just because it is very fuzzy. And I don't know what this is going to work up as if you wash it in the washer and dryer with those strange washing instructions anyway. I don't know if it's going to fuzz up or pill. Because a lot of times, oh dang it. A lot of times, if it's fuzzy like this, it's going to pill. 2, 3, 4, 5. So you need to, when you're doing the star stitch, looks so pretty in this yarn. Oh my goodness. I forgot what I was going to say. My brain was like, oh, pretty. Oh, I think I was going to say that if you're going to do these types of stitches, you have to make sure that you're extra loose on the tension so that you're not, forcing your hook back through all of those loops, or else you're just going to give yourself problems. This is so pretty. I really like this yarn. And the only reason it has been so long me wanting this yarn and not buying it, I'm going to put an extra stitch down here just to straighten it out. The price was getting to me. I was like, that's a little bit, I don't like the price. But it's pretty. And I don't know if we're going to get to the purple section, which is the next color. Let me back my camera up a little bit so that I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Because you may not know this. You are directly in my line of view. And it is really hard to crochet looking at a camera. It's really hard. Yeah, that star stitch is pretty. Let's do another row. Try to get to the purple before we stop. And then after this, we're going to switch to the Mary Maxim Artist palette and see how we feel about that one. With the more that I'm using this yarn, it feels like maybe it's drying my skin out just a little bit, like it's pulling because I moisturized before I came on here. I feel like it's pulling the moisture out of my skin a little bit, so you might have to moisturize a lot with this. It is changing color, and I did not realize that. Can you guys see? It is a lighter blue here, and it is like a sky blue here, and it's more of a, it's turning more of a true blue here. So it is changing colors. So that gives you an idea. It is going to just gradually fade into the purple. That is very pretty. And if you see, like even here, just slightly up the ball, it's a little bit more. This is pretty. All right, so it is changing color. It is changing color, but we still have, it's going to be several more rows until it gets to the purple, but yeah, let's see how this frogs, because that is going to be, that's going to be a make it or break it for some people. Wow. It's sticking a little bit, which I expected. You're just going to have to, if you're going to frog this, you're going to have to be ginger with it. Oop. Yeah, it's sticking. It doesn't like to be frogged. But what I do is when it sticks is I just grab it and I pull where it's sticking. And try to break the hairs. So if you pull too hard, you're going to break the yarn. So you got to grab it right where it's sticking and pull those pieces apart. And then it frogs. But it's going to be a pain in the neck to frog, which I already anticipated because it is a hairy yarn. It almost gives the impression, the false impression that there's wool in here. But this is 100% acrylic. But it does have, like, it feels like there might be wool in here, even though there's not. Yeah. It don't like to be frogged. We're going to wrap it around our ball again. And we are going to move on to the Mary Maxim Artist Palette. We're not going to make this ball look pretty at all. We're just going to... That looks terrible, but that's all right. I pretend we didn't do nothing. We didn't do nothing. I don't see nothing. All right. And I might even consider caking that because it is very loosely spun. Next up, Artist Palette. Yeah. All right. I don't see an easy pull. What the heck? You guys see that? It is on the outside, but it was tucked in there. Oh, this is going to have yarn barf. Oh, it's going to have yarn barf. Oh, I knew it. I knew it. Because see how they just took this and they twisted it because it was not spun right. And they just tucked it in the center, which caused a tangle in the center. As you can see, and it doesn't want to pull out at all now. All right, you know what? Let me grab the other colorway and see if this one is as bad. Nope, that was easy. The rainbow one wanted to give me a problem. This feels significantly thinner than the Prism, and they're both supposed to be a lightweight number 3. This feels very thin. Wow. All right, let's get closer. These are both lightweight number 3. This is like a solid, this is very, like if you pull it, it gets thinner. This feels more like a number 2. At the very least. It feels very thin. It is very loosely spun, which may cause issues for splitting. It is very, very thin. It is much thinner than it feels. It didn't look much thinner than the Prism. It feels very delicate. It feels very thin and delicate. We'll see. We will see. And depending on how gappy this is, you will definitely see this feel. I can almost barely feel it as if it's just thread in my finger. That's how thin it feels. This is definitely not a lightweight number 3. It's beautiful. It actually feels much softer out of the skein, which if it's skeined up tight, it's going to feel a lot looser, a lot softer when it comes out of the skein, which I think that is what happened with this, is it was just tight in there. Splitting slightly. And unlike the Prism, the breaks in the color are very sharp. Again, this is the Painter's Palette. I think this is actually, this feels softer than the Prism in my fingers. Like I said, the Prism had a woolen effect. It had a wool feel to it, even though there's not wool in it. This almost has like a, I don't know, almost a cotton, like a good quality cotton feel to it, even though it is acrylic. There goes another sharp breaking color. So the color breaks are very quick, very sharp, and the colors are short. So you're not going to get a self-striping effect with this with crocheting. And here goes another sharp breaking color. So far it's going white, teal, white, teal, white, teal. White, teal, white, teal. Little man is very excited about whatever they're playing in there. They have been getting along so well lately. I'm really enjoying it. Because there's a huge age gap between them. Juju is 16, little man is 7. So they're 9 years apart. Look at that. See how it's really gappy? That's because it is a much thinner yarn than the Prism was. Let's show you side by side since I still have a little bit of that. See how this is much more closed together? These are much more gappy. That tells you how much thinner because I'm using the same hook. I don't think I'm going to do the star stitch with this because this is just a very like basic yarn. The color does remind me of that one yarn from Ice Yarns though. Well, this one in particular. Did I say this was made in Turkey? Yes. I don't know how I feel about the way the color is breaking back and forth. I think with the right stitch and the right project, this would be beautiful. I just don't know how I feel about it just yet. I don't like how thin it is and how thin it feels. I don't like that. It is going to have, I'm telling you right now, it's going to have amazing drape. I can feel that it's going to have amazing drape in my hands because it's very, very floppy feeling. It's got a lot of stretch to the stitches. There's a lot of stretch to the stitches. But there's not stretch to this. There's no stretch here, but there's stretch in the stitches because it is so thin. I would not qualify this as a number 3 at all. So this is going to take forever in your projects to make something. Which is why I'm just doing doubles and half doubles because it's so thin. It's not bothering my skin at all though. Like it feels nice to work with. But you have to understand it's very thin. If you like thin yarns, go for it. This would probably be beautiful in knit. I'm probably thinking I would prefer to knit this than to crochet this yarn. You know what? You know what? I'm going to work up a knit swatch real quick. I'm going to see how I feel after I knit it. That is crochet. It frogs good. I knew it was going to frog good. There's like no hairiness on it at all. I'm going to work up a knit swatch and I will be right back. All right, so a couple of observations that I'm having knitting up this swatch is it does look different. It looks drastically different in knit. It is working up like a lace weight yarn. It is very, very thin. It's beautiful. I don't know unless I really want something really thin and lightweight, that I'm going to reach for this yarn first. And it is splitty. It is definitely splitty. It's beautiful and it's soft. And if you like a thin yarn, you're going to love this yarn. The first couple rows were really, really splitty on... I'm knitting wrong. I'm knitting wrong. I'm knitting wrong. All right, let's try that again. I'm so used to knitting one way before I learned that I was twisting my stitches. If I don't think first, I go in and I twist them again. So I have to be mindful of that. The first couple rows were really splitty on me. The more I'm working, it's not as bad, but the first couple rows were kind of like rough going. But it's pretty. And now we're getting to the part where everything that's coming out is all the blue color. So we got a little bit of this watercolor, white, blue, or teal, or whatever you want to call this color. But it's not a bad yarn. I like the yarn. I just wish it was significantly thicker. It feels so thin when I'm working with it. It looks beautiful when it's worked up. And this will make a beautiful summer shawl. But I would be more inclined to knit it than to crochet it, personally. If you like crocheting with thin yarns, though, I mean, give it a try. But it is very, very, very thin. So that is our little sample, little swatch that we knit up. It is very pretty. That would make a very gorgeous lightweight shawl or like a tank top or something for the summertime. It's very pretty. Oh, you guys are kind of far away. There, now. Now we can see better. Isn't that pretty? And I like the way the breaks are much different in knit than in crochet. They're not as stark. Like it kind of looks more like it fades a little more in knit. It is pretty. I'm not regretful that I bought it, but it is going to give me a hard time because it's so thin. All right, guys, thank you for watching this little yarn review. In case you forgot, we were working with the Prism yarn and the Artist Palette yarn. All right, guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye.